Everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist. And it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twingate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Twingate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Good morning, all you radicals out there. Time to crawl out of your dogma, Snuggies. It's morning. We got a little trace of snow on the mighty Wasatch. Huge windstorm yesterday, stirring up all this nice air cycle, all this nice radiation off the dump site. Big week it was last week. It was a pretty intense week. As the third-year anniversary of Fukushima, you could see the burnout of Fukushima. You could see the acceptance of the 1090 rule. You could see how the sheep have just went along. Oh, it's here. We know now. They slowly leak it to you. 3 years, Goffman's 1090 worked perfectly. Orwell would come back and be in awe of the sheep. It is amazing to me. Now, our little army, the people that listen to this radio show, and our small group are incredible. I mean, really. I mean, I travel around the country, my post-ignorance project. The people that show up, yeah, they're small, but they surely are not few. Wow. Wow. They are amazing people, really dynamic, really intelligent, really strong-minded, people that refuse to obey, consume. People that refuse, they're not going to go along with this horrible off the cliff. It is amazing to me. I'm really dumbfounded that here we have the most repressive society economically and environmentally in the history of mankind. Not just here in the United States, in Europe too. I mean, the Europeans have gone along with things. They've shipped their jobs to China too. They followed for the 1% oligarchs, freaking service-based economy fairy tale, the science fiction economics they shove down your throat. They've fallen for it just like you have. You know, you remember here in America, it was really something to wear a nice Italian suit or Italian shoes, which I still do, by the way. You have to buy them retro, you know, because they were so nice. You know, you'd go get, I mean, you had an event. It wasn't that long ago. You went and the tailor measured you out, and, you know, that's just the way everybody lived their lives. Not now. You went along with the server-based economy. I guess we're all going to serve each other. The post-ignorance generation, 3500, I guess you're going to serve each other coffee for the rest of your life. Wow. Hope somebody comes by and writes you a big fat, once some oligarch leaves you a giant tip. Good luck to you with that. It is amazing to me how the populace refuses to defend themselves. Absolutely refuses. They'll say, oh, Occupy. Occupy was great. Occupy was massive. But it exposed the ignorance of America. It exposed the 30 years of dumbing down the education system and the flip in the education system. What happened? We have a very, not a dumb populace, a very ignorant populace. You know, I could prove it. I mean, so-called environmentalists, so-called people that are against the repressors here in Utah. Oh, you wouldn't believe these guys. Oh, I know all about it. Oh, but so let's have a conversation about it. They don't know shit. And we're talking all the way up and all the way down. They couldn't tell you a spent fuel rod from an isotope. They couldn't tell you a tariff from a duty. They have no idea economically, socially, philosophically. And we're talking at the top, the leaders. I'll tell you why you can't have conversations about a lot of this. Because it's like talking Mandarin Chinese to an illiterate. I mean, they just stand like a deer in the headlights and stare at you. Why? Is it their fault? Partially, but it's bigger than that. You know, I was working on my PhD when I got sick. And by the way, I want to tell this quick story before I got sick. You know, I'm a finance guy. I was making a huge comeback. I fell on some really horrible times in 2000 because of a bunch of massive death via cancer. That's why I came home from Wall Street. The legendary finance professor, Clyde Toohey, the brilliant genius he is, who opened so many doors for me. He was a genius. And he wasn't just an academician. He got mad cow and died and Stericycle right there. I went over there yesterday in the wind. They burned the encephalitis. He lived there. My girlfriend at the time that I was very close with died. She was killed in a car accident. Of course, the death of my father, you know, nuked to death and the thing. And then a divorce, blah, blah. Oh, it was just ugly times, but financially, you know, I went from this millionaire, self-made millionaire, down to nothing. But I was making an incredible comeback financially. As you guys were watching along on my YouTube site, my financial calls were stunning. I mean, I told some guys, there were some young people in the Bay Area, and I'm like, why would you sit and buy gold at 13, 14, 15, 16? Go buy it for this. Don't go for this Foxconn and this thing. I mean, you missed that ride. That ride, it went from 250 to, you know, things don't go completely straight up. I like to ride public transportation every chance I can. I got on the bus one day, and you can watch my video that I did. This lunatic was married to this neocon lunatic, ugly, mentally ill, psychotic female. He's telling me, I said, why are you married to that lunatic? I mean, she's so hardcore abusive. That whole family of those women. One of my friends is married to the other one. That's some hardcore, ugly females inside and out. He says, yeah, she's so dominating. She thinks she's right. She's a moron. Yeah, I said, I went to high school with these girls. These were, 10th grade dropouts. And he's like, yeah, she told me I need to buy a gun and buy some silver. And I said, so you're going to do it? Silver's $47 today. And I fell back to the old John Kennedy thesis Joseph Kennedy thesis in the cab. When the cab driver gave me a list of stocks, I knew it was time to short the market. I went in that day and did a video. I said, buy the triple leverage down, 47 on silver. Some kids kept coming and arguing with me. People were arguing. There was a guy who argued with me all over YouTube. He was all over YouTube, arguing with me. He bet me $100,000 that gold would be $3,000 before it was $1,200. Of course, they've disappeared, all of them. So some young people were coming to me, and I said, buy something responsible in your area. If you're going to support a company, support something that is environmentally conscious, that has a good business model. That's your whole, what do we buy? I said, buy Tesla. Buy Tesla. $13 a share. So we bought Tesla at $13 a share. What is it today? $230, I believe, $240, $220. I said, sell it at $180. I mean, things don't go straight up. But I noticed Chris Christie has kicked Tesla out of New Jersey. It just shows you the repression. And I think about this. In the crash of 2008, GM goes bankrupt. As America goes, GM goes. They go bankrupt. So we fund them. We bail them out with our taxpayer dollars. So what do? The same thing they've always done. There's nothing American about GM. So you have these companies, these multinational companies that have American names. Apple, GM, Caterpillar. There's nothing American about them. They don't employ anyone here. They're in China using slaves. The owners of the company, which the board of directors, because there is no proxy anymore because of 401ks, these board of directors just skim higher and higher profits off. Oh, I'm going to pay myself $300 million this year. Oh no, why not $400 million? There's no one to stop them because in the old days, major shareholders would descend on by law, the Constitution. There has to be shareholder meeting every year. That was the inception of what corporations were meant to be. As Mitt Romney, the only thing that hairsprayed phony. By the way, who owns Stericycle? Who doesn't live here? and his creepy little, you want to talk some little creepy weasel dicks, you know, and their money is as dirty. They own Stericycle, poisoning, the medical incinerator that poisons everyone in Utah. Aaron Brockovich here, she told Dirty Herbie, our governor, I'll bankrupt you. And these Mormons are too stupid here anymore. They're too stupid to realize they'd love death because they believe, oh, yeah, we told you. See, same with the evangelical, same with a lot of the religious complex out there. It's generational arrogance. Oh, see, we told you the earth was going to catch on fire and all burn, and everyone's going to die of cats. And we're getting our own planet, we're getting our 10 virgins. Ha, 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 see, told you. Anti-woman, anti-black, anti-brown, anti-gay, anti-birds, anti-air, anti-food, anti-water, anti-everything. It's just, the only thing they like is hairspray. The complex of the repression and the repressors. Martin Luther King's incredible quote was, the oppressors, they will never give anything back. You have to take it. We refuse to take it. I've run this through my mind even before I got cancer, before Fukushima happened. You know, I owned a bunch of Tesla. I bought a bunch of, I made a huge comeback in the derivatives market. I turned a few $1,000s into nearly $700,000 when I got sick. I was on my way, and I did the math the other day. If I wouldn't have got sick, good Lord. Now, who knows where I would have sold out. You know what those positions were worth? Millions. Wow. But I got sick. You know, it just proved my point that it doesn't matter. The top of the heap is the air that we breathe, the food that we eat. That's why I went all in Fukushima 3 years ago. Because nothing else matters. I mean, all your money can another minute buy. You know, tell it to Steve Chinese jobs. These companies and these one percenters do what they can because it's so easy. Because they can. We don't stop them. We don't fight back. We don't resist. Resistance is not easy. And resistance is not just, I'm mad. You know, so here's what do? They throw a wedge issue at you. They know that emotion's out there. You know, the likes of the Koch brothers, the likes of the John Birchers, the likes of all these guys, left and right. The likes of the Al Gores of the world. They play on your emotions. I mean, Al Gore and environmentalists. You think about that fraud. Build a house that sucks up $8,000 of energy a month. Yeah, that's a real environmentalist. I mean, they throw these at you. Oh, get a gun, buy some gold. Everything with their answers always cost you money. You know, they always cost you a lot of money, but they solve nothing. Resistance takes intelligence. Dorothy Day, we need a revolution of the heart. We need a revolution of the soul. We need a revolution of the mind. Now, by dumbing down the education system, is it done through the food chain, fluoride in the water, you know, the GMOs? Yeah. I mean, I've worked with, what's her name at NYU, the Folks professors. I did that famous, I love that video that I did, Folks in Finance. She talked about folks, how President Obama had to dummy down his language, start using the word folks. And she go all the way back to the very first president, even before the first president of the United States, and their language, how they would have been railroaded out of town talking this stuff, because we are the most ignorant, illiterate people in the history of this country. That's unarguable. Unarguable. And with technology, it's really a shame. It's really sad that academia, you know, I was thinking about college professors, the way a PhD used to evolve. And when I went to college when I was young, you know, it was still old school. A lot of them old-time professors were still around. John Gottman, Wallace Stegner, Clyde Cooley. I mean, these are the men that mentored me. Incredible. Fawn McKay Brody. I mean, I think about them. In the old days, you had to earn your PhD out on your own. It was in the theater. You just went over and you led. You didn't go to no peer reviews. Can you imagine all them old-timers getting a peer review when they were freaking doing what they do? They were leaders. They would have told the peers to go fuck themselves. Really? You're going to let these freaking morons decide on me? Fuck you. No, because professors went up above. Now, a guy called me yesterday, and we talked about this. He says, to be an environmentalist and academia used to go hand in hand. Absolutely, they did. Not anymore. No, because academia has been totally captured. Professors, they're not professors. Come on. They're not. I mean, most of the college professors I know, they would make very poor high school teachers. I mean, they're pathetic. Academia is pathetic from A to Z, all the way up and down. And I could prove it. I've developed a test that I was working on my PhD. I developed this test, and I took these 12 questions. These 12 questions, you had to get 6 of them right to pass. And I compared and contrasted with past cultures and times with comparable type tests. They're out there. First question, name 2 Supreme Court justices. I mean, these were not logical questions. They had to be taught. You had to learn them somewhere. Second question laid out a map of the United States with all the blank states. You had to get 2 of the 3 right. California, Minnesota, and Texas. You know, multiple questions laid out some really iconic, easiest art in the world, American art to identify. You know, Grant Wood, American Gothic, a few others, and you had to get these right. But name your congressman. Simple question. Name me the difference between Congress and the Senate. Name me the 3 branches of government. Less than 5% can answer the questions. Less than 5% can even get half right. I mean, most people can get any of them right. And I'm like, wow. Holy cow. I mean, off the cliff, it's an epidemic. Ignorance, thus post-ignorance. Thus the Manhattan Project, the post-ignorance project. And someone asked me today, what kind of, I mean, can you imagine the hundreds of years and the resources it would take to get rid of nuclearism? I says, yeah, but think about this, right here, right out there where we protest by the Energy Solutions dump site, which, by the way, I caught that truck running right through East Layton. Well, I mean, what's the irony of that? Me driving along, there they are. And we got screenshots on that came out of there. I believe it came from the reactor in South Carolina. Had it right through residential neighborhoods in Utah, illegal or then illegal, uncovered, unsecured, no pilot cars in front or behind. Sent it to KSL, sent it all on me. They don't care because they've become the SS for the nuclear cartel. Why? Because their board of directors that own those companies are the same owners who own it. Environmental poisoning has become big-time business in this state, big-time business in the United States. To store waste, to sub waste, to murder your own people, to kill your own children, to kill your own families, to environment has become big-time business because they don't care. They don't give a fuck. That's the way it's always been, but we always fought those fuckers back intensely. We don't fight them back. There's very simple tools to fight these fuckers back. Very, very simple tools, and you can't even have a conversation. Old as mankind, go clear back to Jesus Christ. You know, you go clear back there, his philosophies. He threw the money changers out of the temple. You know, they were clean cut, you know, hairsprayed freaking lunatics with their wigs and their robes and everything. Look at him. Scroungy ass hair, scroungy ass beard. Went in there. You know, it really reminds me of America, his philosophy, the old America. Give us your tired, give us your hungry, give us your huddled masses. He wanted to feed the poor. He wanted to, you got to remember, I mean, think about Dracula, how he handled the sick, the weak, the homeless, the tired, the, you know, repressed. How did he handle them? He would invite them to dinners and then gas them, kill them, set the buildings on fire, impale them, just kill them. That was a philosophy. Jesus Christ said, no. These are the people you must love the most. These are the people you must cherish the most and help the most. Because it's called compassion. We have none. Is the earth overpopulated? I don't know. But to think we're going to take a eugenics stand, John Holdren, you think anyway that's the answer? No, that's the answer. Economics is the answer. Healthy families, one person working 40 hours a week in 1965, 55, now takes 2 working 65 hours a week. They even close to the same. Back to the auto dealers of America. GM crashes, goes bankrupt. Okay, you think all these dealerships, and you don't understand about automobile dealerships, what an oligopoly that is. It's an oligopoly. I mean, we used to talk about the oligopolies as far as the oil cartel, which, you know, we'd always shine the light on Saudi Arabia and those guys over there. No. You know, it's American oligarchs, Eastern European oligarchs, Chinese oligarchs, shoguns in Japan. Now it's not oil. Now it's not gold. They produce so much gold. It's outrageous. I mean, you think about it. Gold's not a finite commodity. Yeah. You know, it's helicopter band just keeps stepping money onto the economy. But why does America go for it? Now it's plutonium. Why did they go for it? Why do nations refuse to defend themselves, call in their dogma snuggie, and buy into this right, left, blue, red dynamic? And they divide up. And you're an environmental. I mean, they hate environmentalists. You think Anybody who has any kind of just cause, oh, you fucking pussy ass fucking mama. Overcompensation for ignorance? Absolutely. Why? You know, Lonnie Clark says it best up there in Oregon, the battered wife syndrome. They're battered. They've been beat down so long, you know. Occupy came out, they would shove microphones. Even the people who claimed they were the leaders of Occupy, which is all bullshit, by the way, because I know who the leaders of Occupy. I was in Manhattan all winter of 2010, 2011, trying to lead up my post-ignorant social movement to the 100th anniversary of the Shirtwaist Fire, which happened the 25th of March, 2011. So the 25th of March, 2011 was going to be our event. Well, 2 weeks before, exactly 2 weeks before, boom, Fukushima happened. And it is crazy to me that I ran and raved and went nuts and how ignorant the so-called anti-nuclear establishment is. It exposed how full of shit they are. Gunderson, Busby, all of them. Helen. I mean, I go up and down A to Z. How could anybody who's been in this thesis not understand that that was a full core meltdown? There were multiple meltdowns immediately. A 9.4 earthquake? Hello. So I knew. I told the story in dramatic fashion, in a new genre, in a powerful genre. By the way, YouTube is suppressing for a fact, we know it. We've caught them. YouTube is suppressing my view count dramatically. They don't even start my view count until my videos have been up for 10, 12 hours. I had a video the other day that had 55 likes and it had 4 views. And, you know, we've caught them. But I don't know why they're doing that. Well, of course, you know, Brennan said, here we go. 1%. We don't enforce antitrust laws. So think about, there was a CNBC comes across there the other day and said there are fewer publicly traded companies in the history of America right now. Yeah, hello. We haven't enforced antitrust laws. So you have a company like Microsoft, which their products are pathetic, by the way, who completely monopolizes the industry. That's why we had antitrust laws. That's why we took him down. We took Rockefeller down, Sinclair Oil, 100 years ago. That was 100 years ago. Break them up. Monopolies are horrible. Horrible. They repress competition. That's what happened. You go to Windows 2013. All those years, type in a capital spelled word and go to spell check. Still can't do it. It's pathetic. Bill Gates is a weasel dick who stole everything from Utah. Stole everything. The operating system was invented here, the WordPerfect. I mean, that's a whole other dissertation I can get into. Apple, Google. I mean, you think about, okay, you people that had a YouTube AdSense account, think about the money you were making 5, 6, 7 years ago. Think what you're making now, nothing. Why? Because they got a monopoly. These are pure monopolies. They do whatever they want because that's what wealth does. It is a psychology. Thomas Ackerman, when we were out in Allegheny here, says, I can't understand how these great songwriters, these musicians, all these people that were all about these social conscience can just shut that off. You know, the Springsteens of the world, the Billy Joels of the world, all these great songwriters, all these artists, these social activists, these movie stars. The Robert Redford is the quintessential one. This phony fraud piece of shit. I know that ugly, fucking creepy, weasel, dick piece of shit. And any girl who ever slept with that fucking dude. Oh my God, that is one ugly human being. Inside and out. He came to Utah. I'm an environmentalist. Like they all came here. They all came here. They all came here when I was a boy. They flooded this place. Everybody who's claimed they were environmentalists, which very few of them really were. Edward Abbey was the real deal. Stegner was the real deal. I knew them both very well. They were the real deal. Tough as nails. The rest of them frauds. You know, I tell Redford all the time, put this in your fucking film festival, you phony fraud fucker. He made statements calling himself an elitist. Says all the peasants out there, they deserve everything they get. Huh. Well, we refuse to defend ourselves. Environmentalists? Where? Social activists? Where? Michael Moore? Really? Michael Moore stood on the stage with Stone, Pandora's Promise, and said, I love you. He's in the club. So I told Ackerman, I says, well, here's what I think. I think that wealth and money and fame at that giant level physically change the chemistry in your brain, in your heart, in your soul. And it takes a very special human being to let that not happen. I was a wealth management guy on Wall Street. I managed some of the hugest endowments in the world, including our universities, and I understood. I really got to learn why some wealth can hang on to wealth. they start to prep and tutor their children very young to hang on to that wealth, because it's a very difficult thing to do. And I started to understand it takes a very special, they're called leaders. I grew up in a family with money. My grandparents, a lot of money, but they didn't give us kids any of it. My grandpa was a stickler on hard work. He had me freaking working as a plasterer at 15 years old in these pits. I have scars on. You know, I was a worker, always been a worker. Go to stuckodamage.com. That's me. Go look at those videos. That wasn't very long ago. He left it all to charity. He didn't believe in inherited wealth. America didn't believe in inherited wealth. It takes a very special individual to wealth not change them, like John Kennedy was. I mean, they were oligarchs. Bobby Kennedy, they were oligarchs. Some of the richest, you know, they stood up. Yeah, they got killed. Yeah, because that's what we do to the pure, to the righteous, to the truth, to the strength, to the power that speaks. Abraham Lincoln, you know, went bankrupt while he was in the White House because that lunatic he was married to. Harriet Beecher Stowe was an oligarch. I mean, you're talking her dad, one of the richest men on the face of the earth. She flew right in the face. Guggenheim, Peggy, flew right in the face, an oligarch. Of course, was she sexually motivated? Of course. Vanderbilt's daughter. You had these people that broke ranks. Patty Hearst, of course. She's just comfortably numb like the rest of them in California. Fukushima has not been reported simply, and I can tell you, I've got it all broken. Why was the lies of Fukushima perpetrated by A to Z? It's impossible. It is statistically impossible that every marine biologist department, every media outlet, everybody in academia played ball and refused to report the truth of Fukushima. How is that possible? There's only one variable that makes that possible. One. Real estate values. I was in California in July. The CMA, California Medical Association, which is a powerhouse, a lobbyist group. I mean, really powerful. They can move masses. They can move politics. And people need to understand, politicians don't change things. People change politicians. The popular opinion is not our friend. Individuals with strength, you know. Abraham Lincoln called little Harriet Beecher Stowe to the White House. So you're the little lady who started the Civil War. He meant it. It really happened. You know, battle cry of the Republic. Oh boy, oh boy. Incredible battle cry. The French Revolution started by what? And a few people, one of them an 8-year-old boy. You know, the American Revolution, Sam Adams, a couple guys, terraformers. These are individuals. These are people. It still comes down to the integrity of men. How is it possible? Real estate values. They go to the California Medical Association. Hey, listen, doc. Listen, your 3 houses up in California, your building, your medical facility, your balance sheet showing that at $7.8 million. You're leveraged up to $7.9 million. Your balance sheet is negative. Your entire net worth is hinged on your false, freaking blown up real estate value. Let's keep the interest rate at 0 forever just to protect real estate values. All the asset class. Deflation is good for everyone except the asset class, but they've tricked you into making you think you're the asset class through your fake piece of shit house. Your FEMA camp. Oh, they're going to I mean, you are in a FEMA camp. Now, maybe if they took you out of that house, and like in the 1930s, when the mortgage values collapsed 90%, Helicopter Ben, I mean, what a joke that fucker was. That little weasel dick. You know, there's only one guy ever in the history of the Fed worse than him. Of course, Alan Greenspan, the great Ayn Rander. Oh, the free market thing. I mean, he was a lunatic, an ideologue lunatic. He put ideologues in charge of that's what you get. He's got an ideologue. It's outrageous what he did. He should be hung, literally hung. 0% interest rate for 14 years. I mean, think about a stimulus. Oh my God. Freaking the dollar has crashed. The dollar went from freaking 85 cents, 75 cents against the euro to $1 freaking 60 in 3 years. There's no hiding. So inflate your way out. Inflate your way out forever is an impossible equation. So the answer, just go buy more gold? No, because they just keep flooding the market with more gold. You don't think the oligarchs are ahead of that game? You don't think they're selling gold like mad when it's freaking 18, 19? I did a video right before yesterday. Says get out of gold. the peak of the day. It's impossible. The Cassandra-like accuracy financially that I've been is impossible. Now, as my path goes forward, I'm starting to get healthier. So I got to get back to work, obviously. You know, I've did this. I want to be a full-time environmentalist. I really, you know, well, not that I want to. I need to. It's important that I have to. You know, I can't turn my back on all my brothers and sisters who died of leukemia in the hospital. I held a lot of their hands. I'm the only one left standing of our group. I mean, I have to do what I have to do, but I have to have money. And so, you know, it's pretty outrageous. Dr. Burroughs, the old man, told me, he said, Kev, who's funding you? I said, nobody really. I got a couple people that send me a little bit of money. I got a guy in Northern California sent me $3,000 here a few months ago, and I got a guy in Canada that sent me $1,500. And then, of course, Lonnie Clark placement. That's it. You know, that's it. Really? Well, that's impossible. He says, you have to raise money. If you're going to do this and be an environmentalist, every environmentalist had money. Abby had money. Stegner had huge money. Sierra Club funded, you know, that was before the Sierra Club was hijacked. And he was responsible with their money. That's how he got killed. He refused to fly. Now, I was at the energy conference fighting, I have his card right in my wallet, fighting with the new head of the Sierra Club. You know, tell your young activists how you got here. Did you fly in a Learjet or first class? Stegner refused to spend their money. You know, he was an old man. He was still driving. He got killed in a car wreck. He was responsible. Abby, through Stegner, took a chance on him. He was the laureate at Stanford. You know, had a giant fellowship. You know, he had a publicist before he ever wrote a book. You know, those books were sold before, and they're magnificent pieces of literature. Stegner got it. Stegner saw the brilliance. And in this day and age, there would be no Edward Abbey. There wouldn't be there's no Stegners out there to take a chance on a radical like Abbey. I mean, you think about it. He let him into Stanford, gave him a fellowship. I mean, that doesn't happen. Academia is a club now. It's a fucking club. PhDs are a club. They're not PhDs, by the way. They're pathetic is what they are. Dr. King, he was a PhD. Now I'm going to New York, back where I belong 3 years ago. Fukushima trumped it and changed everything, changed the entire occasion. As I led the march in front of the White House, you know how many people participated in the Million Mass Man March around the world? Look it up. Yeah, we had 5,000 in New York City, and I led them down Constitutional Avenue, gave my speech in front of the White House. John Anthony Fairhurst organized it. Steve Grant, which they're brilliant as far as capturing emotion. That's what this is about, channeling emotion into the purity, but we have to have detail. Occupy lacked that. They didn't know what a tariff was. They didn't know what anti-usury law was. They didn't know what these quintessential tools, they didn't know what usury laws were. They didn't understand, yeah, Jesus Christ threw the money changers out of the temple, but you have to create laws. Utah was the last state to get rid of laws. Utah's culture is so hijacked, American culture is hijacked. You are hijacked to think you're in the club because you get a car and your leveraged up house and you're comfortable in money. That's why people go and get pets. They're not interactive with other people. They refuse to get into the street. They're comfortably numb. They're the battered wife. And the young wolf who's born in the cage, he has no concept. No concept of what we had. When you think about when we were young, think about the freaking beautiful America we lived in. One parent working 40 hours a week. We party in the parks. We had beautiful cars, and we were so excited to see what GM and Ford was going to come out with that year because we were protected our markets. We didn't let these pieces of shit flood in here. Yeah, they wanted to bring cheap slave-owned China, just like Hamilton said in the Tariff Act of 1789, to incentivize buying homemade goods, to block cheap Chinese goods from coming in America. Because they have a 1% society over there. The royal family rules their slaves. It's slavery. It's usury. Jesus Christ threw the money changers out of the temple, but it was bigger than that. These things, you have to freaking force them. You have to force their hand. Car dealerships. Wow, what a scam. They went broke. You think every car dealership bankrupt? How did they stand? How did they stand? Same way the bank stood. Fell out. Too big to fail. Zions is still, I know for a fact Zions Bank, I know for a fact. I used to teach the bank exam. A lot of the federal bank examiners came through my program. I know they're over-leveraged. The Mormon church says they don't own any, but bullshit. You know, they were more over-leveraged than Barnes. They let Barnes go down. You know, think about who they took out and who they left standing. Bear Stearns goes down. I remember I had the market shorted down. I'm like, Bear Stearns went down. Merrill Lynch has the same business model. Short Merrill Lynch. You know, I told the guys managing my short GM. a long time ago. You know, you could see the writing on the wall. But yet they let those go down and let Saks and AIG stand. AIG, the insurance. So what does that do? It creates more of them in the monopoly. They let wipe out the competition, just leave one standing. Microsoft, Apple, Google, Goldman Sachs. I mean, you got 1%. Why? Because we allow it. Because you can't even have a conversation about we always enforced antitrust laws in the last 100 years. Remember Ma Bell? Oh, remember Microsoft in the 90s? The Justice Department took them on. The free market lunatic. Let them up off the mat. Oh, the free market is healthy for us. Hey, and you buy into it. Oh, we're going to sell our goods to China. Yeah, those Chinese slaves that make 37 cents a day, they're going to buy a lot of it. Oh, India, because they like gold. Yeah, those masses that freaking make 37 cents a week. Yeah, they're going to purchase a lot of gold. Yeah, they're going to go buy them an ounce. They're going to save up for 40 years to buy 1 ounce, every penny they make. Pearl said it best. Whoosh. Yet, you'll leverage up your house. They'll keep the interest rate at 0 all the time. And I mean, God forbid you let the interest rate. You know what the interest rate would be? I love Ayn Rand Greenspan. And how about Rand Paul, that lunatic, and little Herman Munster, that lunatic. Rand. She was an atheist, a science fiction writer who was on public assistance for years, who never claimed to be an economist. She was a counter-culturalist to Stalin. She'd born and raised in Russia. She saw it. She got it. She was a brilliant writer. I love her books, but that's all she was. She was the L. Ron Hubbard of the time. These people quote her in economic thesis? Wow. How pathetic is it? If the interest rate was naturally floated via the United States big magnificent bond market, which they thrashed and ruined it, you know what the interest rate would be right now? The Fed rate would probably be around 7.5%, maybe higher. It's called classical medicine, but you're not willing to take it, so you're willing to stay impoverished forever. Not only will you spend up all the equity that our parents gave us, we had a surplus in this country. There was no debt in 1980, zero debt in 1980. We still had tariffs. We had no income tax in this country till 1916. Well, we didn't need my bullshit. Guy said to the other day, well, you named me one social program of 1776. How about the United States Marine Corps? How about the Coast Guard? How about the Central Bank? You know how many little old ladies all over the freaking colonies were holding paper? How did they pay for that? Well, they went to rich people or, landowners or not even rich people and said, hey, we need money. Here's a note. That's not a social program? The fuck it ain't. The military's not a social program? The fuck? You cannot pick and choose your redistribution of wealth. So where does our redistribution of wealth go now? We are socialized, in a very abstract, grotesque, sickening way. The only thing we socialize at all is the military-industrial complex, nuclearism. Megan Rice understands that. We still don't even know where Megan Rice is. Now you think about this 84-year-old nun, denied due process, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th Amendment of the Constitution. Tortured. 84-year-old nun, peace activist. A pacifist. Very tight, close friends with Martin Luther King. Yeah, her dad taught right there at NYU, right there where the shirt was, where it happened. Because America had a social conscience when that happened. It changed the world. It gave us weekends. It gave us time and a half. It was legal to lock freaking people in. The shirtwaist fire that happened in Manhattan that changed America, that gave us the greatest middle class in world history. A social conscience of spiritual leaders who gave a shit. Spiritual leaders now, look at them. What a bunch of frauds. Jesus died so I could be rich. Jesus died so I could enslave and drink the blood of Chinese children. Jesus died so I could go walk around and look at bodywork skinned Chinese prisoners. Jesus died so I could environmentally poison the earth for profit. Wow. Wow, what a sick culture we turned in. And we just sit back. We don't fight back. Yeah, you got a car you're over leveraging on. You bought from GM. Made in China. From the dealer. The dealer pocketed a bunch of money. Can't break down that oligopoly. Broke it all down. Your wealth, let's say you were making $45,000 a year in 1999. You're still making $45,000. No, you're making half that. The dollar's been cut in half. When the dollar currency, there's nowhere to hide. You can't hide. Where are you going to hide now? Yeah, high dividend yield stocks. Yeah, you dove in when it was 6,000, when everybody sold out. Yeah, I guess that is, But how do you buy stocks? I mean, I always play the derivative because I refuse to support these animals. Tesla responsible? I don't know. An exception, I thought they were, and I it's a good business dynamic because it breaks down the monopoly of the auto dealerships, and it's electric. How do we produce our electricity, though? That's the big thing. The sun. It's always been there. We don't even use nuclear power. We don't. And if San Onofre doesn't prove that to you, we were told, as I led that freaking fight against San Onofre in an intense way to shut them down. It was the whistleblowers from inside San Onofre who were sending me stuff to the bone marrow transplant. Why? Because I was the one reporting Fukushima in the early days. A guy says, you left your browser open on my computer. And he says, my God, how do you handle this? I didn't realize. How many emails you get? Yeah, thousands. I don't know who people are. I mean, I'm trying to juggle and people use acronyms. I mean, think about that. I'm supposed to know who these acronyms are? Wow. I mean, my brain's big, but I'm not freaking supercomputer Kev. How do you do it? It's hours and hours long. I've lost complete track of them sometimes. I mean, it's an overwhelming freaking beast of a task for free. It's pretty outrageous while in critical condition. While I'm fighting for my life, that I've had to report this and have reported this. And somebody says, use Fukushima. Fuck you. Fukushima breaking news is mine. I earned it. It's mine. Take it from me. Fuck you. It's just like all these in science fiction economics. Richard Reese himself tried to steal it from. I says, no, I have a copyrighted. Try it. I will fucking sue you, fucker. You fucking. I mean, the Fed is so hijacked. The Federal Reserve is hijacked. I like all these guys. Federal Reserve will matter 100 years. Bullshit. The name Federal Reserve. It's what private to public multiple times since 1776. The banking system has failed multiple times. When it was private and when it was public. So we had this system that was de facto. We had this system where it was an oversight. It was a joint between Fed still has to report to Congress. But we know how freaking corrupt Congress is. And we know how pathetic the do-nothing Congress is, but it is representative government. I can prove it. Go, who's your congressman? I travel them. They don't know. Beach Mama, presidents do not set law in this country. Yeah, they can drone strike and kill Barry Antoinette, and what Bush did, chaining out Bush as far as the lead up the war. But American populists went with it. You got to realize the war, Congress went for it. The only reason Obama beat Hillary, the only reason, back when, in the Nobel Peace Prize game, because he voted against the war. A few handful voted against. You think about that. Now think about that. Boy, did they get to him. Think about who his secretary of the EPA was, the Energy Department, for the first 4. Who are they now? Oh, the whole entire nuclear cartel. Boy, did he get schooled. Presidents do not set law in this country. Congress sets law. Who's Congress? Representative? Oh, yeah. They're no more ignorant, pathetic than the populace is. And they accept. I was looking through some of these congressmen. Our congressman, Rob Bishop, is a pathetic hairspray fat pig that he is. He's a pig. Congress for 14 years. Making $175,000. It never works. They don't work. They don't do anything. Perks, insurance, everything. Balance sheet, couple $100,000 to the back. I says, how's that possible? How is that possible? There's a couple social scientists from Oregon State University that I used to follow. They're very old, and they talk about this. And they talk about people who make less than $10,000. Think about that. People that make less than $10,000 a year in the United States, which is nearly impossible to live on. But trust me, I've done it for the first time. Wow. I don't know how people do it. And people who make over $150,000. The people who make less than $10,000 are financially better off. Emotionally. I proved my PhD. It's almost better to be homeless in this country. You buy a car, as soon as you drive it off that all-I-got line, it's worth, 50 cents on the dollar? A year later, it's worth 20 cents on the dollar. Same with your house. I got this false, I've refinanced it multiple times. Go try to sell the fucker. Yeah, you might get lucky. Who wants it? Fake stucco, fake rock, Chinese freaking drywall, green board in your showers that's molded up. They're hideous. They're poorly constructed. I was a contractor in this town for 35 years. You can draw a line right to about 1980. Anything pre-built 77, 78, 79 is the best build is 50s and 60s. They're like Fort Knox, laughing. I still do laughing plaster, by the way. I can't wait till I hope we get healthy enough. I'm the last of the Mohicans. I know, I mean, there's nobody in the state that does laughing plaster, real laughing plaster. Oh yeah, I do. I built the train in the Children's Museum. That's all laughing plaster. I carved it out, you know, because there's a lot of chemicals in that material. Is that how I got leukemia? I don't know. Turned about moldy stucco jobs. I tore about right up on here in the heel. I told this scumbag, Weasel Dick, I saved his entire molded up piece of shit right before I got cancer. Was it the mold from that wall that triggered my leukemia, coupled with Fukushima? Here's what I think. I think that I had so much predisposition from my father in my body, and being a Utah downwinder. I think I was working on those jobs, and I think the Fukushima radio was catching on those roofs, because they're up on the hill here where I work. And I was doing stucco jobs all summer that summer. I think I was digging through those things. And I think I got the Fukushima fallout freaking boom the summer of 2011, like a lot of people here did. A whole bunch of people got sick at the exact same time, really dramatically. 4 of my lifetime friends. 4 of us. There was, 3, and myself. We all got sick at the exact same time. Cancer, hardcore, brutal cancers. You know, there was a group in the hospital, about 15 of us, all got sick in the same region at the same time. I'm sure it was Fukushima. You know, Carla had just run the Ogden Marathon. She had de nouveau like me, Kevin and Carla. They're all dead. Every one of them is dead. Every one of them is dead, except me. You know, I went through that heavy chemo in my jugular. Heavy. It's a Hail Mary. I was dying. I got misdiagnosed. I saw the worst of the medical. I got so malpracticed on. I mean, I got abused. I mean, treated like dog shit. Vincent Hansen got in there, but I should have died, you know. But why am I alive? That's what I have to stay on this focused path as an environmentalist. I was an environmentalist my whole life anyway. But now, you know, I fall back to Dr. King, Martin Luther King. He didn't start that movement. He wasn't heavily involved in that, civil rights movement. Now, and you need to look up the word civil rights. It's not race. This is class warfare. They have waged class warfare on us. Then they won. They won. Because we allowed them, we didn't fight back. This is the greatest redistribution of wealth to the 1% in human history, bigger than 700 years ago, William Wallace. Bigger than 1774. Bigger than the slave complex of the South. They were usury wars. We fought back. Not with guns and bullets. We're outgunned. The military-industrialized complex. We're outgunned. It has to change within. The police force, the NSA, all these people that are the Uncle Toms that are supporting the very people that are killing them. That's why Fukushima changed everything. Because it knows no borders. It knows no socioeconomic status and class. It knows no race. It knows no age. It knows no isms. It knows none of it. It kills randomly. I call it the reverse lottery. Doesn't fucking give a fuck. So they're eating their own. As I stood in front of the White House and gave that speech, they've gone too far. We all have the right to breathe clean air. We all have the right to eat clean food. That's an inevitable right. Jesus Christ knew that. Martin Luther King knew that. Megan Rice knows that. Yet we will not defend. We will not defend ourselves. I will. Out in the street, that's where we'll meet. Because everybody's in their dogma snuggie. They're comfortably numb. They still believe they're going to be on the winning team. And think about this. Next time the Powerball gets up, right? Here people drive to Idaho. I mean, the odds are 0 you're going to hit that. I mean, 0.00000. I mean, people will line up thousands deep because they bought into the fairy tale that it's not about the working class and having a happy life and raising your family and having time to go on picnics and having time to read books. Maybe if you got put in a FEMA camp, maybe you would have time to read a book. Instead of going to work at 5 o'clock and rush hour 5 a.m., you get home at 6 a.m., you and your wife. Who's got time to read a book? Who's got time to educate themselves? Who's got time to be loving and caring with their family so they get a pet? Because they can control the pet. God forbid we be interactive with each other. God forbid we have passionate, intelligent conversations. No, we're just on and we play defense. And the wealth is so sucked up. They've had 30 years of this to gather up the wealth, and we went along along with it. We crushed unions. We crushed any working class. We never had a fence. We allowed people to pay cash to hungry brown people as now to displace 40 million farmers. It just annihilated our economy. People that make $20 a day cash to pay any taxes. The tax base gone, eroded. And think about this. You go to Ireland, St. Patrick's Day yesterday, they'll look at you and say, hey, why can't you Americans own anything? And you're like, what do you mean? Property tax. Think about this. You're all hyped up about the feds and Obamacare, and you're all hyped up at the local level. You don't even think about your local. They just continue to raise property tax. The corruption at the local governments is epic because they've sitting just under the radar while you've been all fed crazy locally. They keep raising your property tax and raising. I have a friend here. He sold, his house, had some money. His wife died of cancer. Moved to San Diego. He says, I'm going to buy this place in San Diego, pay cash for it, live happily ever after. I said, good luck to you, that. What about property tax and insurance? Oh, I'll be all right. He buys a house. I visited him down there, $2,300 a month in property tax and insurance. Boy, you're really comfortable. Yeah. Can't even freaking barely handle it. I says, yeah, there's the fallacy. There's the fallacy. Live happily ever after, huh? Property tax at the local level is so corrupt. Governments are so grotesquely freaking corrupt across America. Well, America's corrupt. And everybody thinks they're still going to be on the winning team. And they're going to hit the lottery. And they're going to let them. American Idol's traveling around and I'm going to be the next Carrie Underwood. I play my guitar. You got a 1 in a billion chance. They completely control every aspect of culture. There's no music, there's no fucking art, there's no fucking media, there's no cinema, there's no fucking nothing. There's no creativity, there's no joy, there's no happiness, there's no passion with intelligence. Yeah, there's a bunch of ignorant passion out there that ruins everything. The anarchist kids crawling on the fence don't even have a clue what the fuck they're talking about. It's worthless. It's worthless. It's, go to the gun range and shoot a freaking thing. It's worthless. It just captures your passion and just takes it away. It just puts it out there into a black hole. Sucks it into a black hole. All that passion just gone into a black hole. Passion has to be coupled with intelligence. Environmentalism and intelligence and academia used to go hand in hand. Fuck academia. They're a fucking joke. We have to have environmentalism because it's the top of the heap. It's where the wind blows. It's where the water flows. Because it is the top of the heap of the socioeconomic status. Until people understand that. To poison your air, okay, just like me. All that money. I had all those equity stocks, all that Tesla stock, whatever. I had to fork it over and get in. What the fuck good does it do if I'm a multi-billionaire? If I'm dead? If I've got cancer? Steve Jobs. Could have been one of the richest, maybe the richest man on earth. Well, he would be today if he was still alive, his position in Apple. Think about it. He flew in multiple doctors, multiple times. He died of cancer, 54 years old. The oligarchs eating their own? Oh, fuck yeah. That's why we have a chance with this issue. John Hurley, the head of the National Press Corps, came to my speech in front of the White House. The lion. You look up, he knew every president personally. He says, Kevin, I loved your speech. I listened to it. He said to me, he says, you did an incredible justice today to the environment. You awoke a sleeping giant. He says, Anonymous didn't have a clue about Fukushima. They did. You can hear Jack call in the audience. You can talk about aliens. You can ask John Anthony Fairhurst personally. You can ask. He knew. He was watching. That's why he asked me to do it. Oh, boy, do they know about Fukushima now. He says, you awoke a sleeping giant. I says, yeah. They killed Aaron Swartz. They killed Michael Hastings, who were really Michael Hastings had awoken a sleeping giant and exposed the corruption of the military-industrialized complex. As you think about the murder of Pat Tillman. I mean, how is this country completely not gone psychotic on just that? The control. John Hurley said it to me. He says, Kevin, I grew up in Mississippi. Grew up in the South. He says, my daddy told me when I was a boy, you see men in white robes, you beware. He says, after being at the head of the National Press Corps for 60, you knew every Supreme Court justice there ever has been in the last 60. You knew them all very personally. He says, you're right about the Supreme Court being hijacked. Bush did not win. Alito Roberts should not be on that court. It's illegitimate. Not my words, but Justice Breyer's words. He says, I know. Beware of men in black robes with gold trim. He says, you keep doing what you're doing. People are watching. We're listening. You know, you keep trying. Keep trying to harness this energy in an intelligent way. Because with energy not harnessed in an intelligent way is into a black hole. Now, Occupy did a lot of good things. There was a lot of good aspects of it. There was a lot of bad aspects of it, too. Because you can't let the passionate without intelligence take the field. You're done. Just be angry. Who's going to rant? You know, a kid called me from my house, just ranting and raving, going crazy about this, that, and everything. And I says, well, why don't you call your congressman or your senator? He didn't even know who they were. It is representative government. And if you don't think that works, how do you think we got Standing Office shut down? Now, of course, you could say, well, it doesn't matter, Standing Office shut down, the spent fuel is stored on site. But you're right. Same with Diablo Canyon. Same with them all of them. Just the fact there is no answer for the nuclear waste is the great. Now, why would they keep making? It's outdated. It was a fairy tale. It didn't work. It's a joke. Nuclear power is a joke. Why do we still have them all? Why aren't we taking this apart? As again, right out here in the Nevada test site. What do we do out here? Right out here. I've worked out there multiple times. Oh, nerve gas. All that gas was built up in 100 years ago, used in World War I. We take it apart in Utah. We've been doing it since the 1930s. I've been out there. That's what we do out there. We've got like 75% of the world's freaking is gone now. We have it all out there. And it will all be gone. Yeah, it's a long 100-year project, but we need to start on it. And the first step is quit making more. It's the greatest tool for repression in the history. Martin Luther King knew this. He was probably the strongest anti-nuclear, maybe in the history of the world. Megan Rice understands all this. That's why she picked and chose what she picked and chose at Y12. The abuse of her is an epic, epic story. The international media that descended on Knoxville, Tennessee for her sentencing from all over the world, zero. I was it. Me. I was the only one. That's it. And local media. Yeah, activists, some spiritual leaders came from Arizona, from Alaska, from all parts of the, the Hindus from Tibet were there. But as far as media, why have they all played ball on Fukushima? Why do they play ball with the nuclear complex? Because of their real estate values. Video killed the media star. Oh boy. Video killed the media star. And you look at their ratings are falling off cliffs. And people know about Fukushima, they're just in denial. Consumption of fish out of the Pacific is down 65% in the last 3 years. They know. Media ratings are off the hook. Yeah, why do you think the business model would say, hey, wait a minute, we got to start reporting real news again. Look at what our ratings. No, because they've had 30 years of sucking up so much wealth, and they're so filthy, stinking rich, they're on wealth protection mode. So how do you go on wealth protection? Just attack and attack. Use the media as a weapon again. Keep them repressed. Keep them dogged. Keep them down. Stop them into the corner. Do not let them up. Don't let them up, because we have so much money now, billions. We could never spend it in our lifetimes. Never. You can't touch the wealth they have. It's like, let's just start selling out. They have so much now, so they're on defense mode. They don't care about making money anymore because they got all the money. They have it. They have all the wealth of the world. They already did it. Mission accomplished. So now you sit on it and you look down off that ivory tower. And anybody who tries to freaking smash it, you kill them. You kill them. Aaron Swartz. I've dedicated my entire year to Aaron Swartz. He was progressive. He was dynamic. He was genius. He was a threat. He got it. He was political. Stay tuned. I'll see you all week in New York City, the week of the 24th to 29th. I have a lot of activism planned. I'll be at Washington Square all day, the 25th, paying homage to those girls. Stay tuned.